What's up, everybody? So this is going to be my first episode of my 31 days of fossils for the month of December. Tonight I'm going to be showing you a really special fossil that I found, and it was actually my first of its kind find diving off the coast of Venice. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm obviously going to show you the fossil, but for 31 days this month, I'm going to be taking a piece from my collection, either something I acquired or something I found. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it was found or how it was acquired, the story behind it, if there's a good one, and then I'm going to try to touch base on the more paleontological aspects of age and formation and things of that nature. So that last part is going to be a little bit difficult for some of these because I think it's going to require a little bit more research into that area. And honestly, when I did choose this fossil particularly, I noticed that that's definitely something that I need to do a little bit better for my collection to really understand the full story behind each of these fossils. So let me show you this. So this is about 20 to 25 pound lower portion of a mammoth mandible. I'm going to say mammoth. We're going to go with mammoth. It's real wide. I don't think it's mastodon because it's really big. So let me see. Could probably get something to measure it with, but I would say that's about a foot from here to here. And this is like the little chin part, right? So this would be the bottom lower half. If I were to like put this up to my face like I was a mammoth, that's how it would sit. And then there's a tooth that sits here. So there's two teeth per side. So there would be a tooth that sits here, another one that sits juxtaposed to that, and then another tooth that sits directly behind it. So 4 teeth in the mammoth's mouth, in the lower mandible, I believe. So, I guess let me tell you a little bit about the story. So, I found this diving on one of my really good friends, Ryan's boat. We were trying to chart out different spots. And so basically what we were doing is just kind of going over the shoreline and checking the radar and seeing what sites looked good that might have stuff so on the bottom. And we happened to come up to this one site, and I think this is the one that we came up on where it was like kind of deep. It was like deeper than the rest of the areas around it. So I was like, like maybe this is an area where like heavier stuff has settled, in the deeper portion and has had a harder time, getting out or whatever. Kind of like how like gold would settle in a hole, right? So, we decided to dive on that spot. And I remember when I found this fossil, I hadn't found anything, right? Like I was still trying to figure out how to find meg teeth. I wasn't like I knew what to look for, but I just like didn't feel it, So anyway, I was swimming around on that dive. I didn't really find a lot. I felt like I was covering a lot of ground to no avail. So I remember coming up on a rocky portion and I saw a lot of debris, right? So that's what it kind of attracted me to the area. Saw a lot of debris, and I would say about 15-20 yards up ahead, all I saw was like this little portion sticking out. But immediately I knew, I'm like, because I have another jaw, and I've studied a lot of jaws. When I go to University of Nebraska, they have a museum there called Memorial Hall, and they just have such an amazing and intricate display of different proboscideans which are basically like elephants, that have existed over a span of millions of years, and they had everything from paleo mastodon or paleostegodon or one of them to like all the way to Columbian mammoths and even pygmy mammoths, which you can find off the coast of Washington. So pretty cool, but trying to not go off on a tangent, I recognize this just because it's a very recognizable trait. And, the color of the bone was just indicative. I'm like, this is definitely a piece of fossilized bone. So I swam over to it thinking it was a whole jaw, and I pulled it out of the sand, and, you know, I only got this, but I was so happy. I was, you know, so excited. It was even better than finding a Meg, and I just, like, had to cradle it on me, like, the whole dive, so I'm just, like, swimming around with this thing in my arms. And I finally got up to the boat, and, you know, I put it in the back. I climbed up. I took all my gear off, and I had this in the back of the boat after I took a couple of pictures and selfies with it, which you've probably seen on Facebook before. And then I remember Ryan pops up on the back because he's like a way better diver than me and tends to stay down like 30 minutes past when I can. I remember him coming up and he just looked at it. He's like, "Oh, that's a nice one." And he was like super excited for me that I actually found something because I was coming up dry. So that's kind of the story behind this guy. It had a lot more incrustations on it. I did my best to clean it, so I kind of like how it looks now. It still has to be sealed with boot bar, but it's super like stable piece, so it's not, you know, gonna break or whatever. But yeah, so pretty cool. So a little bit about the history and the age. I have a hard time finding out what formation this is actually from, right? So there's the Hawthorne Formation, which is the famous one, where all of the teeth, the shark teeth and stuff, and the dugong bones and stuff like that is coming out of. But there's an overlying formation, and the best I could find, I just looked on the Peace River Guys site real quick, but it said undifferentiated Pleistocene sands and gravel. I'm like, whoa, that's really descriptive. I just can't seem to find a good source telling me what formation this actually is. And, you know, maybe there's not even one. Maybe it's just, you know, it's just because it's underwater and it's really hard to tell, like, where the stuff's coming out of and how it's coming out and where it's being displaced, that nobody really knows. However, it's probably in the realm of 12,000 to 11,000 years old, maybe, you know, give or take a couple thousand years, because this is when mammoths, you know, walked the sites down where Florida is now. And it was probably found, you know, not even a couple hundred yards offshore, like very close to the shore, right? So you can find all the fossils that are really, really close to shore. You don't have to go out far at all. So really cool story. Thought this was a good piece for the first night. If you guys have any questions about it, you can post them. I'll try to do my best to answer them. And like I said, I'm going to do a little bit more research on this guy to really figure out what the age is. If anybody knows and would like to comment below, you know, please tell me. Please inform the others, because everybody's going to want to learn. You know, everybody's probably watching these videos to learn more about fossils. So I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, and I'll have another good one for you guys tomorrow night.